In today's video, I talk about my top 5 spawn tactics. So stay tuned and enjoy. Let's talk about the term spawn. There's pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. Let's start off with the first one. Pre-spawn means when the male bass go up shallow and they start looking for perfect places to put their nests for the females to lay their eggs. So this generally happens in springtime when the water reaches about 16 degrees. That's when the bass start moving up and start scratching around to clear out those beds. Spawn time, that is when the male is on the bed is ready, and those big females that have all those eggs in them are ready to move out from deeper water up into shallow water to find the suitable nest for them to start laying their eggs. In the spawn period, this is where the female will release their eggs, the male will fertilize, or let's call it do its business. The female hangs around for about a week or two before she moves off and goes back to deeper water and goes back to her home. After the female has left the bed, the male actually sits on the bed and protects those eggs from other fish like bass, kerper, bluegill. After this spawn period, the fish hatch, and then they are teeny tiny little fry. Obviously the male is still around and it actually still protects those tiny little bass. And while this is happening, you'll see those beds with either a male guarding the little fry or they'll just be fry. That is just a short and sweet rundown on what the pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn is all about. So let's talk about the 5 best tactics for me to catch pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn bass. My first tactic to catching pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn bass to throw around a chatterbait. A chatterbait is a great bait just to cover some water. What I do as a bank angler, stand a little bit away off the bank, and what I do is I make a long cast and I run it really shallow right up until it hits cover or it even hits the bank, and then I cast again, and I do that over and over again. Boat fishing, what I do is I'll position my boat like that and then I'll make 45 casts. You actually targeting shallow water and deeper water, because if you're in that pre-spawn time, you're actually targeting the smaller bass, which are mainly the males, and if you're running it deeper into the deeper water, you might pick up on a bigger bass. And if you're fishing off the bank and you're casting it deep, you have the opportunity to catch a big female deeper or a smaller male up shallow. The good thing about a chatterbait is it actually does represent a bait fish or a fish, so it actually looks like it's coming into its bed and going to attack those eggs, all those baby bass. Second tactic is throw a jerkbait. I would highly recommend you guys throw a shallow diving jerkbait. I like to throw either a very natural color, so this is an extremely natural color. This is in more like a bluegill, perchy pattern. And then another thing that I like to throw is just plain white. If I'm a bank angler, I'll cast it out deep and I'll work it back. If there is a bed there, I will twitch it and then leave the bait there. The thing is, what these fish really hate is when the jerkbait hovers over their bed and it drives the bass insane. As a boat angler, knowing where the beds are, if I've scoped out the area, driven into it, or I can see a bed, you cast past the bed and you twitch that jerkbait into its bed. You know, you really need to find that cadence. Do they want a 30-second pause? Do they want a 10-second pause? Do they want a 5-second pause? Maybe they don't even want to pause at all. So you just need to feel out the fish so that you can get lucky and catch those bass on a jerkbait. Number 3 is a creature style bait slash crawl bait. you get a creature bait with flapping appendages, so when this bait lands in the bass's bed, going like down like that, bass don't like that, and they feel very, very threatened at that moment in time, and you have a very high percentage that that bass will smash it on the drop, or once it's hit the bottom there will be cloud of dust, and then it'll see these appendages sticking out and slowly moving like this, and that actually will drive those bass so crazy that they will hit it. I can't guarantee that that'll happen on the first cast. You might have to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 casts, and this is what I basically start with if I'm actually targeting a fish on a bed. Another bait that I think you should never overlook is something like a pure beaver style bait. You guys can see those appendages. They're very simple, they are straight. When this bait hits the water and drops to the bottom, it's got absolutely no action. But this thing might get a bite just purely because of its subtle action. So yes, this is a more subtle bait, something that doesn't have that much action. Tactic number 4. This is something that I do year round, all the time, always, but it is a fish catching machine. That is the good old stick bait. The stick bait is a super versatile bait because it looks like a fish, it also looks like an earthworm, and the fish, because of its subtle action, the fish just absolutely hate. They absolutely hate this thing. I can't really say much more to it, but I'll give you a couple of ways how I would actually rig this to catch those bass on beds weightless. That thing flutters down, bass can't handle it. Either they hit it on the drop, or they hit it when it hits the bed, or you twitch it into the bed. You can actually fish this like a jerkbait. Second way I would throw this is on an actual Texas rig. So you put a bullet weight in the front, drag it in there, make some commotion in there, get that sand, get that dust stirring. Third way I would fish this, and I think it's my absolute favorite way to fish this, is as a wacky rig. This stick bait just crushes. I think you can put it on in any color and you will definitely catch 1 or 2 or 3 if you are sight fishing for bass. Lastly, for this video, and I'm going to close it off with a absolute banger of a rig, and I think you guys will absolutely destroy them. This is a drop shot. A drop shot is the perfect imitation of a fish swimming into a bed. There's many different baits out there that you can rig up to catch bass on a drop shot. The ways that I like to do it is to actually use bait imitating lures, and you can actually work that bait really slow into the bed. Just a regular fluke will do if you guys don't have anything else. I do specifically like drop shot baits, so in this case I will use the flatworm in any color depending on what the fish like. I generally go for a smaller presentation, more finessey, more appetizing, you know, easier for the fish to eat that. White flukes, black drop shot baits, watermelon red colored worms, go crazy. I've given you guys a lot of information, a lot of baits to use. I'm sure that within your guys' arsenal of lures and soft plastics, you guys will have something that is here that can work for you guys. This is my opinion. I know bass fishing is very subjective and everybody has their own way of fishing and catching fish. This is the way I do it. This is the way I've been very, very successful. I've actually been doing it this way for a very, very long time. These are my 5 favorite ways to do it. Leave comments down below. Let me know your guys' 5 favorite ways how to catch pre-spawn, spawning and post-spawn bass. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully I helped you guys to go out on your next fishing trip to catch those spawning bass. Hit that thumbs up for me please. Comment down below, subscribe if you guys haven't, and I'll check you guys on another episode of BWS.